I think I paid $1 for this at the flea market. The main blade was in pretty good shape. This blade wasn't terrible either. The smallest blade had been sharpened a lot. The blade channel was pretty gross. I used some steel wool and a modified popsicle stick to clean it out. It only took a couple minutes to get it looking way better. The blades had some heavy scratches, so I start off with 150 grit. So if you're going to sand this blade and you're going to hold it against the table and sand like this, you're going to put a lot of pressure on that pivot. You see how you're pressing down on that pivot? Instead of that, get a piece of board. You put the board on here, and now you're taking all the pressure off of that pivot and just working on the blade. This is after the 150 grit. I think I got most of those grinding scratches out of it. Before I do any more sanding, I want to do something about this nail neck. I feel like it needs to be deeper. I used a thin cutoff wheel in my Dremel to deepen and lengthen the nail neck. Alright, on this smallest blade, you see how the point is sticking up right there? See it? Right there? What I'm going to have to do is take a little metal off of right here, so that point can sit in flush. So by taking off that little bit right there, now that tip goes all the way in. I used every grit in the box down to 600 on all 3 blades. So am I the only maniac that writes the grit on the backs of his sandpaper? Next, I went to work on the bolsters. Since the bolsters were softer metal, I started with 320 grit and sanded down to 600. And then I went over them with the fine scrubby wheel. I sanded the scales with 400 grit and then used some fine steel wool. I decided to also go over the blades with the scrubby wheel. I used WD-40 to wash out all the sanding and scrubby wheel grit. Chuck and I gave the whole knife a good going over with his Flitz polish. We switched to a softer polishing wheel for the plastic scales. I like to protect the freshly polished blades with masking tape when I sharpen them. Shaving sharp. I oiled the pivots with a few drops of Rem oil. Here's what the Utica cutlery pocket knife looked like when I brought it home from the flea market. And here it is now. Utica Cutlery Company was founded in 1910. The factory was located at 805 Noyes Street in Utica, New York. And according to their website, they are still on Noyes Street and still making knives in the USA. My improvements to this nail nick seem to work out well. And getting that point of that smaller blade to go all the way into the handle will keep it from grabbing in your pocket or stabbing you. This main blade, the spring still works really well. Very positive action. It doesn't look like it was sharpened all that much. Same thing with this middle blade. Snaps open nice. Looks like it's in decent shape. However, the small blade has no snap left. See? The good thing is it's pretty tight back here, so just friction seems to be holding it. But if you watch that spring right there, it's not moving at all. See? Where if you take, say, the main blade, that in there. Take the main blade. If you watch that spring in the main blade when I open it, see how it lifts up? You see that spring lifting up right there? And then it rests there and then it lifts again. See it lifting? You see right there where the spring's lifting? See it? Let's see if I get you a close up of that. Here, watch. See it lift? See the spring lift? And that's what holds it locked open. And this little blade is just worn all the way out. That spring's not doing anything. But there's a decent amount of friction back here. So it's not totally like, flopping around. I'm glad it's the littlest blade that's worn out and not the main blade. You just have to make sure, you see what happened right there? You just have to make sure when you do put this one back, it's not going to snap into place, see? You got to push it all the way down so you don't get stabbed. I really like those scales. It's an attractive pattern. I think it's a good little knife. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Cleaning up old pocket knives is fun. Check out my pocket knife playlist for more projects.